So we let off the hour with this problem, which covers like 3 things you have to know for our test, which is coming on Friday. The lead term was 2x included with the x squared, making 2x to the third. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Okay, awesome. And then the degree is just the 3. That, oh my gosh, this is so easy. But then a lot of people get to the next part and they're like, what does this mean? Try to remember, I pounded on this over and over. X-intercepts are where y is 0. Okay, so then you could go stick a 0 here. And look how it says 0 equals that. So you set that little equation right there, and you figure out what makes this 0. So if you want, you can write it separately like this. 2x minus 3 needs to equal 0. That looks like an equation, and here we are in Algebra 2. Who would have thought we'd be solving equations? Dividing by 2, final answer is 3/2. And I'm going to put it in right here because an x-intercept is written like this. I'd totally fine with you saying 1.5 because that's what 3 divided by 2 is. But why am I writing it like this? Because look, it's an x-intercept, so its y is 0. See, the y part is 0. That's how you write those x-intercepts. Welcome, Jonathan. All right, so now we're going to erase this part here and figure out what that one is. Oh, this is an easy one. See, I almost wish they weren't so easy. Because, see, on this kind, kids just know the answer is -4. And then they're not always sure how they got it. What was happening is you were in your brain going, I want x plus 4 to equal 0. Subtract 4, and that's why the answer is -4. The kids that are just going opposite of this, they get really confused when it's this kind, because it isn't just the opposite of that. All right, so bottom line, the 2 answers were that and that. I doubt many people got it, but maybe half of you, I don't know. Raise your hand if you got those 2 right. All right, that's more than half. Nice work. All right, pause for a second. We're going to the medium kind of problem. Like this is kind of medium hard. Graph this relatively easy, x minus 3, x minus 5, and x plus 6. You should be able to graph that. And finding that lead term is really, really key. So find the lead term first, and then you should graph it. All right, so from this, you should have been able to go, oh, the lead term. He seems to be obsessed with the lead term. Maybe I should figure that out. The x and the x and the x make it x to the third. I said it was a medium problem. It's not like a hard problem. So that means since it's positive, it must be going up at the end. Since it's odd, it must be going opposite directions. All right, then to be able to do the rest of the graph, I got to know the 3 little x-intercepts. This one, again, I almost wish it wasn't so easy. It is -6, but it's not because it's opposite of this. It's because you set it equal to 0 and you solve it, and then you get -6. Because when they get harder and there's a number here, you got to know that that's set equal to 0. All right, so anyway, we got 3. -6 is one of them. And another one's at 5. And another one is at 3. And so then you just have to be good at connecting the dots. Do-do, do-do, do-do. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Cool, that's a medium. Now, here's a hard one. Let's say we had, copy this down, -2x plus 4, but it's, wait, not 4, sorry, make that 3, because otherwise it would have been factored, because there was a 2 in both of them. And then it's squared. Ew, it's not that hard. Don't forget that that matters. All right, then the next part is x minus 7. And then the question would be, graph it and include the y-intercept. Now, if this kicks your butt, it's okay. But to be able to get an A on the test, you'll have to know how to do this kind. I'll pause for a sec. All right, before you go too far wrong, let's just make sure we get the same lead term, because that's where kids mess up. And I get it. It's tricky. I told you it was a hard problem. This and that and that and that go together and make positive 4. A lot of people forget to square the negative 2. X to the third. Again, it's getting squared. I bet a lot of people screwed up the negative and thought it was negative, and it's not. Because if you type this into a calculator, negative 2 squared, it would tell you 4. It's because it's in a parenthesis, see? All right, so that probably just changed a few people's graphs because we now know it's going up on the right and down on the left. And it definitely goes through 7, and that part's easy. You'll have to know how to do that part, which we just did a second ago. The x-intercepts are where y is 0. So look at, there's my little equation right there. Now, some people think you have to square it. You don't actually, because think about it. What makes this equal to 0? If you square it, it'll still be 0. You can have it squared, but you don't have to. You can just say negative 2x plus 3 without the squared equals 0. Because if you find what makes this 0, after you square it, it'll still be 0. Negative 2x equals negative 3. And now I've got x equals 3 over 2, 1.5, same as last time actually. So it goes through right there, 1.5. And if you start doing this just kind of like la-di-da, you might be like, wait a minute. What just happened? Something's wrong. Because it's supposed to be going down on the right. This arrow is just like pointing to this area. That's because, see, it's an odd degree. And how come they're both going up? Because you're doing something wrong. Who remembers what? Yes.
You gotta make it bounce.
Yes, right here, that is a bounce kind. If it's squared and are any even number, then since it's bouncing there, it's going to go like this. See, it's going down through this. It goes through the 7, but it has to bounce off of that. And there you go. Now, one more thing. And again, tons of kids get this wrong on the test because it'll just be in the directions. Must include the y-intercept. If you haven't done it yet, do you know how to find the y-intercept? Take a second and do it now, even if you forgot before. And this is just one of those sayings. The y-intercept is where blah, and you're supposed to know. The y-intercept is where x is 0. So I make this 0, and I make this 0, and then I'm going to just rewrite all of this. It now says 0 plus 3 squared and 0 minus 7. All I did is put a 0 where the x used to be, and that canceled out the 2 because negative 2 times 0 is 0. And from here, I bet everybody can get it. I know some of you are like, didn't you say to just ignore the squared? No, that was the other kind. On this kind, we do what I said. The y-intercept, you put in x is 0. And once I put in the 0, that squared will hit the 3. So that'll be 9 times 7, and it's negative, makes negative 63. So I know it doesn't look like it, but that spot right there is at negative 63. Who came up with negative 63 without me? Not many people would have got that right. The question then is, do you know what I just did? Because most people didn't get it right. Do you know how to get it right next time? So let's just, question first. Yes, please.
I noticed that you got a positive 1.5. Isn't the 3, wait.
All right, here's the part for that. Would you agree it's negative 2x plus 3?
I see what I did wrong.
Okay. Yeah, you subtract 3 right off the bat, and you end up with negative 2x plus 3 equals negative 3. Or no, that part's gone. Negative 2x equals negative 3. Divide 2 negatives, comes out positive. Okay, all right. Now, the y-intercept is the one that almost everybody got wrong. They're not that hard. Let's practice one more like that. Don't even write the problem down. What's the y-intercept of that? even write the problem down. Just stick it in your head and go, oh, I know what to put in. Jack, finish this sentence for me. The y-intercept is where... Oh, you got to write this down, Jack. It's on the test. The y-intercept is where x is 0. The y-intercept is where... You got a short-term memory? The y-intercept is where what?
X is 0.
Yeah, x is 0. So just stick in x is 0. That's all there is to it. This is one of the hardest things on the test, and yet it's really not that hard. You just got to know to put in x is 0. I always put them in parentheses. Sometimes that matters, sometimes it doesn't. But it reminds you that is not 20. It's 2 times 0, which would be 0. So then it's negative 8. And that part, you should know that 0 plus 2 squared, that the squared of course matters. 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4. So it's 4. So then the final answer is, careful, 8 times 4 is 32 and it's negative 32, but how do you write it? I don't know how harsh we're going to be on this test, but in my honors class, for sure, we just found the y-intercept because we put in x is 0. So x is 0, comma, negative 32. Negative 32, I know some is what some of you thought you were going to say, just negative 32. If you are talking about a point on the graph, you have to say it this way. So again, my suspicion is, since this is one of the hardest questions on the test, you don't want to nail the kid for just, you forgot the 0 comma. But I don't know yet. So I'm telling you to do it that way. And I just hope you won't forget. And then hopefully on the test, I can be generous if you forget the 0 comma. And hopefully I can just give it to you. How many of you at least had the negative 32 part? Raise your hand if you had that part right. Okay, good. All right. Now that's like the easy kind, the medium kind, and the hard kind on this test. So let's see how you would do there is the homework that you just had last night. And I know, kids sometimes don't do their homework. But I assigned the odds. Now I'm assigning the evens. And I'm going to literally have you work with the kid next to you on the even problems of your homework. So you're just going to be doing homework with that kid next to you. But I think it's really important to be able to talk through math with another kid. So right now, I would like you to pull up on your iPad last night's homework. No judgment if you didn't do odds, it's okay. Right now, you're just going to do the evens with the kid next to you. If you already did the evens last night, yay, they got somebody to help them. Lucky them. All right, so please pull that up. And here's how I'm going to assign the seats for this. For today, I'd like you to stand up. Are you done with this, actually? If you're done, that'd be awesome. All right, cool. Then you can still do this part. Then I'll take this. And then if you could just take your iPad up. Here's who is going to work together. It's going to be pretty simple, except you wouldn't have a partner. So I'm going to have you stand up and move to a different spot. I'll show you where it's. These 3 desks, or 3 sets of desks, please slide 6 inches apart. Just meet in the middle, kind of. You two and you two slide 6 inches apart. In a minute, you guys will be partners. These 2 rows slide 6 inches apart. Go ahead and start sliding. This is part of class. Sometimes you have group projects. This is one of those times. For today, I'm going to have you two over here, and then you 2 guys can be partners. I'm going to have, like, you come over here. Let's say you 2 are partners. You 2 are partners. And then you 3 are partners. Okay, so that you slide out, stand up, I'll move the next one. Okay, work on the even problems with that kid next to you. There is going to be accountability on this, as in, please, just do it. Work with the kid next to you on the even problems from last night's homework. If you're already done, then you're helping that other kid. I'm pausing. So we just wrapped up a time period of finishing up yesterday's worksheet. and the evens, and I just released the key. And so if you're at home, you're able to tell if you got those right. That was the hardest kind of questions on the test. So don't feel like if you get 2 of those 3 wrong, that means you're going to fail the test. There's only one really hard question on the test. Maybe 2 that would be kind of close to the ones you just did. But can you get the easy ones right? Well, we're going to review everything tomorrow. My goal for today was to just work really thoroughly on the hardest kind. All right, so if you look in today's folder, there's now a review for the test. It's like a practice test. It is not as much of a copy as last time. We did something special for the last test where I gave you this printed test that was just like the real test. This one's not as exactly like the test, but it's a really good review for the test. We're going to do the same thing because we have today and tomorrow to review. So I'm assigning the odds. Most people start with number 1. So I'm going to assign the odds for today. And when you're done grading this little thing we just did in class, go into the folder that's for today. It'll say Wednesday, February 19th. In that folder, there's a new document, do the odds only. Okay? All right. In a bit, I'm going to be walking around. That document is way too long for you to be done with. And if you're done, awesome, just show me. But I'm going to ask you to be working on the homework, which is the odds. And if you need help, I'll help you.